Welcome to FPB's Meet the Candidates. This Cable 10 series allow you, the viewer, the voter, to get to know our local candidates a little more and find out what their views are on the issues that are important to us. And this is all leading up to our general election, which is on Tuesday, November 6th. Today's guest is Kellie Lang, and she is a candidate, the Democratic candidate for PVA. Hey, welcome, Kellie. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I just want to start out by giving you the opportunity to introduce yourself, tell us about yourself and why you chose public service.
Thank you. I'm married to Vince, and I have 4 beautiful children. I have Sarah, that actually works about 5 feet away from me in the county clerk's office. Kayla works for the Kentucky State Police. Samantha, that is now a senior at Western Kentucky University. And we can't forget Sydney, who is a big 5th grader over at Westridge. I started in 1994 at the Campbell County PVA office. I actually started at entry level, probably equivalent to a job grade 7 with the state. I have worked my way up. I worked in Campbell County PVA at that time. I worked in the Boone County PVA. In 2003, I came and worked for the Franklin County PVA. I worked there until 2008. And then I went over to the Department of Revenue, which oversees the PVAs. I was responsible for assessing personal property, which at that time was about 4.5 million vehicles in the state. Franklin County has about 51,000. So I ended up working my way up, being the director over all the PVAs in the state. So I have a lot of experience with property tax.
Okay. So let's start out let's talk about the responsibilities of PVA. And the PVA means Property Value Administrator.
Yes, yes.
So what are the responsibilities of the
The responsibility is what it says. It actually values, it's the assessment of your valuation. It actually assesses real property and personal property. Real property, of course, is your real estate. The personal property, that includes tangible property if you own a business. Personal property also includes your motor vehicles. As I said before in my previous interview, that ugly birthday card that you get with your motor vehicle, with your boats, your camping trailers, anything like that personal. They're responsible for assessing that. It gives you the right also to come in and to contest your assessments with the PVAs. It's the backbone of the property tax that's collected.
Okay. Now you mentioned the experience that you have. So what characteristics do you have that you think have prepared you for this role?
I would say all of my training. I have every Kentucky property tax course that is available. I actually completed in those 22 years of property tax. There's 10 Kentucky courses that are mandatory for a PVA to take. I not only have taken those classes and passed them, but I've also taught the classes, and I've actually created and written the classes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I have a designation also that went beyond the Kentucky courses. It's an IAAO, which stands for the International Association of Assessing Officers. Those, you have to be in a PVA office for 3 years to even be able to be a certified Kentucky assessor, which I passed those courses.
Yeah.
Then I went on 5 years to be able to pass what they call the SKA. That's the Senior Kentucky Assessor. So there again, I have every course that's available. I've written the courses, and I have the experience.
So you're confident in your experience?
Yes, I am. Yes, thanks.
So what would you say is the biggest issue locally for the PVA's office?
Being out on the campaign trail, it's making sure the PVAs actually are governed by the Department of Revenue. With the Department of Revenue, you have to go by a tax calendar. You have to make sure that your assessments meet up to the standards. You have to send those assessments in to the state, and you have to be certified. That's a big decision for this county. When I say certified, you have to make sure that if someone's selling their house for a specific amount, you have to make sure that your assessments are close to that amount. That way you know that the revenue being brought back in. I mean, right now at this time, you know, our schools are suffering. We need to make sure that these assessments are correct, that they're fair. The law for the PVAs is fair and equitable. That's what I stand, that's 22 years was preached to me, fair and equitable. So I would say making sure that no property, any property in this county, nothing gets omitted. That making sure that your property is where it should be. the assessment. You know, it may be too high, but you have that opportunity there again with my experience to talk to you and see what your assessment's worth.
So how do you go about determining the assessment on the property?
Like I said before, there's a tax calendar that you have to follow with the state.
Yeah.
It's a quadrennial plan. So every 4 years, the law states that your property has to be looked at.
Okay.
When I say looked at, that's not just a ride by, hey, I saw your property.
Yeah.
It's actually doing your homework.
Okay.
It's taking the property, whatever's supposed to be assessed for that year, that tax year, that specific subdivision, taking those sales around that area, pulling those property cards and going out there, personally getting out. Now, as an assessor, you're not allowed to go into the house.
Okay.
It's not like appraising work. The assessor actually looks at the house on the outside. They can do measurements. If a building permit has been taken out, you gather those building permits to see, you know, what the addition was. Or in some situations, you know, you may unfortunately have something, maybe a shed that has burned down. So it works both ways.
Okay.
You know, there again, fair comes into play. So you need to make sure that you go out there and you look at those properties, you gather your information, you take it back to the office, and then you look at the comparable sales. You look at the other properties, and then you send the assessment notices out.
So who determines if it's a fair assessment, especially if someone contests?
The law states that the first 2 weeks of May is the contesting period.
Okay.
So everyone gives that fair chance, has a fair chance to come in and talk to the PVA.
Okay.
I've been on that table.
Okay.
When your property changes in assessment, whether increase or decrease, an assessment letter is sent out to that homeowner. It gives you the right to come in those first 2 weeks of May, to come in and actually speak to the PVA or their staff members. At that time, you're able to discuss your assessments. You're able to try to come up with the fairness between the two.
Sure.
There again, that's my strength.
Right.
I've been there, I've done it. My customer service, willing to educate you, you educate me.
I think you mentioned this earlier, but how often are those assessments made?
4 years. Every 4 years
Okay.
is what the law states.
How often would you voluntarily reassess real property during your term? Is that done?
Yeah, more than likely not, unless, like I said, if a building permit's taken out,
Yeah.
or new addition,
Okay.
a home is built, you get that information, and you would go out on what they call new improvements.
I see.
So if you went out on a new house being built, you would go out. I personally, when I did the field work, I thought it was better, you know, you don't just jot down an assessment.
Right.
You know, I like talking to people. I like discussing the assessments. I like saying, hey, you built this house, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, if you sold your house to me, what's the fair assessment?
Right. Okay. How will you make things operate more efficiently and easier for citizens to maneuver through this process?
Number one is the website.
Okay.
Out on that campaign trail for the primary, and even now currently, all I hear is the website. And also, you know, we bought a property last year in December, and the first thing I did was look on the PVA website. You know, whether you're a realtor, you're a homeowner, or you're a potential homeowner, you want to see what the property's assessed at.
Sure.
You know, are they asking what they should be asking?
Yeah.
You want to look up and see what the sales history is, how many square feet are in that property, what the boundaries are. More importantly, when I was director over the PVAs, I was able to travel. I was able to go into these PVA offices. I've gone to probably about 119 other county PVAs. So I was able to go in there and see their website, to see one of the counties, you know, they have where you can go in and look at the comps, the surrounding comps, the sales history. We live in a time right now where we want things now.
Sure.
We want it right now. You know, even the weather. You know, we can grab our phone out, look at the
Sure.
yes, convenience. So we want to make sure whether, you know, we're in the office, you know, or whether we're at home, we're in the car, we're riding by that house, be able to pick up your phone, pull up that PVA website, and get that information now. When you're riding by a property, you want to see what did the house next, maybe 2 houses down sell for? You want to have that information. So I would say technology.
That's great.
Yeah, I would say technology.
In addition to technology, are there any new programs like training for employees, communication, education efforts for taxpayers that you would implement?
Oh, definitely. Again, I know what works, I know what doesn't work. And another PVA office, she has actually, which is great, it's Meet the PVA. And it's like once a month.
Yeah.
Fine with me, come in and have donuts and coffee.
Sure.
But come in and be able to open office.
Yeah.
And Patsy Conway, I know she would have taxpayers come in, or realtors come in, or even revenue employees come in.
Sure.
And be able to have an open door policy.
Okay.
Come in and talk. I mean, I've learned, out there on the campaign trail. And I told this story before. When I first started in '94, I thought I was working for the PTA.
That's good too.
And then I'm like, why is it in the courthouse? Yeah. But the PVA office, it's a very complex office, and it does take a lot of experience. And there again, to just let you know, working in the county clerk's office, when people come in and say, why am I paying these taxes? I have to be careful because they're, kicks in the PVA role, and I'm like, these property taxes go back. They go back to your school district.
Right.
They go back to your fire district, to your city, to your state, to your county. They take your assessment, and that's how they come up with their tax rate. So you take the assessment times the tax rate, and that's how that money comes back to our community. So I want to be able to implement programs to educate. Taking out, on the website, there again, taking out, hey, did you know? Here's a fun fact about the PVA. Yeah. What is a PVA?
Yeah.
Being able to explain to them what a property valuation administrator, what the responsibility is.
Yeah. So we have this redevelopment going on in downtown. So how will the proposed plan for that downtown redevelopment, how will that affect your work, if any?
I would say from making it a tax exempt, because right now, Franklin County, unfortunately, our assessments aren't up where the surrounding county PVA assessments are.
And that's because of?
Because of our state exempt properties.
Sure.
If the state owns, like their building, they own the state building, that's tax exempt. We get no money coming back to our community. So if we can make the downtown, make them private owners, bring in, businesses, like I was saying, personal property, that tangible property, bring in to where the businesses have to pay taxes on this tangible property. The real estate, private property, that's going to increase. That's going to increase our revenue for this county, which there again comes back to us.
Right. Well, this year the fiscal court, both of our public school districts, and soon the city commission have voted to raise their taxes, to increase the taxes. How do those changes affect your office?
The primary reason those tax rates have increased is because the assessments aren't where they should be. There again, you have to balance.
Yeah.
If the assessment on the property is not there, then common sense, the tax rate has to go up.
Okay.
So we have to make sure that those assessments are where they should be. Okay. So then if the assessments are there and we get certified by the state, then the assessment tax rate can decrease a little.
So how can you ensure that the assessments are there?
By going out, by being a working PVA.
Okay.
Being there every day.
Okay.
Going out looking at this property, looking at new additions, looking at businesses coming to town, hopefully. The more businesses we have in this county, the better we can do.
Yeah. Well, in the 6 months since the last Meet the Candidates interview that we did, I'm sure you've had the opportunity to get out in the community, talk to all the people, let people meet you. You've heard concerns. What have you learned about Franklin County and the people of Franklin County?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love this county. And I mean, walking door to door, meeting the people. Some people are like, oh, how do you do this every day? I can't wait. I love my job from 8 to 4:30 because I get to work with the customers and the taxpayers. But when I get those gym shoes on and flip-flops right now, when I get out there, I love to listen to people.
Yeah.
I love to listen to what they want, what they need. Customer service is number one.
Yeah.
Customer service, being able to come in, be greeted with a smile, be greeted with the actual PVA.
Yeah.
Be a working PVA, to be able to say, you know, if there, unfortunately, if there was a situation where, you know, say the staff couldn't show up, I would be able to do every job in that PVA office. So I can promise when I go and talk to that person at that door, there will be someone there every day. There will be someone there. If you need me out in the field to talk to you, or if you need me in the office, someone will be there. I would guarantee the customer service will be improved. You'll be greeted with a smile. They will be trained, because that's my number one. If I have to do the training, I would do the training.
Sure.
I've worked with this PVA staff for 15 years.
Yeah.
It's a great group. They do a good job. There again, if we have the training and we keep up with the training, then, you know, if we do have to have, cross-training is the key.
Yeah.
So if you've got somebody working on tangibles and you need, hey, we've got a situation, you know, we got a motor vehicle coming in, or we got a car dealer, a new car dealership coming in, to be able to be cross-trained, to be able to do more than one job, to be able to help multitask.
Yes.
To be able to multitask.
Well, that's great, because my next question was going to ask you about your goals
Oh, yeah.
for this term. That sounds like you laid them out.
You got it. Yep. Customer service and the website, technical support. I think that's going door to door. That's everything I hear is, you know, making sure somebody's there. We're working at the county clerk's office, and not just the county clerk, but working at, you know, the property tax, real estate taxes are collected at the sheriff's office. Being able to work in the courthouse and having that relationship with the other elected officials, with the other counties, with the other offices, with the staff, teamwork. This Franklin County is improving every day. It is. It's improving every day. And the goal is to make sure we work as a team, to make sure that when you come in, that you feel like when you left, you're educated, you know where your taxes are going, and it doesn't make it so hard to pay those taxes. Stay on it.
We don't want to make it hard.
Be proud.
Well, I appreciate you coming in today, and I'm going to give you a chance to look directly in that camera and tell the viewers why you're the best candidate in this race and why they should vote for you on November 6th.
All right. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Sure.
Often it's really difficult to make that decision to vote. This time it should be easy. You have the most qualified candidate running for the PVA. I have 22 years of property tax experience. And when I say hands-on, I mean hands-on. The most important role is the passion that I have for this position and for this county. I really, really would appreciate your vote on November 6th. I have the right experience, and I am the right choice for the PVA office. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you out on that campaign trail.
We thank you, Kelly, for coming by. Is there any way that if folks want to learn more about you, where can they go?
Yes, I do have a website out there. It's www.kellylangpva.com. I also have a Facebook page, Kellie Lang for PVA. You're welcome to get a hold of me. Any questions, any concerns you have, I'm available.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for coming by, folks. It's Kellie Lang. She's a Democratic candidate for PVA. So to our viewers, I'll remind you to get out and vote on November 6th, Tuesday, November 6th. And then after you vote, go home and check us out on Channel 10 live with the election results straight from the county clerk's office. It's election season, folks, so it's time to get informed and voice your choice. That's it for this edition of Meet the Candidates. We'll see you next time.